Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Spar&Brawl. Hope you're having a decent day. So we have a little bit of a different setup right now because I lost my computer. It's damaged. It's getting fixed. It might take a few days, might be even longer than that. So for now, we're going to have to go with this kind of Zoom screen sharing setup for the next few days or even week or two. Who knows? So I hope that's okay with everyone. But yeah, Sam, tell us, what do you have for today? Because the Iranian elections are on the 18th, which is in 2 days. So there's been a bunch of news that's come out.
Yeah, and by the way, I like to say we were planning on recording more videos this week because we had promised some viewers response videos and stuff, and they're coming. It's just the technical difficulties. And while I don't know which generation we are in, I don't know exactly the name
We're
of the
generation
generation. We're millennials or Z?
yeah, millennials. There we go. Sorry.
We are
Yes, okay.
millennials?
Yeah.
I thought they're younger, but anyway, but okay, nice. But we are certainly, in terms of my abilities with computer, I am closer to boomers in that sense. So yeah, so you have to, there may be significant problems coming up. But yeah, there has been a couple of, there has been a couple of updates regarding the Iranian election, which are significant. Then we have a, there are some news stories about what can you say about the margins of the election, about the side stories that are going on at the same time with the election. And at the end, we're going to give you a quick update, very quick update about the Iranian nuclear talks that was going on. We'll get to that specifically. But let me start with the fact that we had the third debate this week between the presidential elections. According to most analysts, we had each debate became calmer and less substantial and less aggressive, all sides. I don't necessarily agree with that because I do think in the third one, you again had Zakani, who's we get to him again soon as well. Zakani was the sort of the bad cop of the conservative grouping, the principalist grouping. He was the one who was the attack dog, attacking Rouhani's government directly, never mentioning anything about sanctions, that type of thing. So he was very aggressive. Hemmati was very aggressive. And again, the feeling you got from the debate, as I have a bit of a different take, but I think most people that are not, they don't spend their days reading about this politics bullshit. It was, again, there is this debate that everybody's complaining, and you feel like you guys were all major decision makers or major officials within the regime, and you seem to all complain about the same things pretty much without providing any clear plan of action on how you're going to address that. Very few, some of them had few. You had Saeed Jalili, who's probably one of the more hardliners. He was the former Iran's nuclear negotiator for 8 years. During his negotiations, nothing happened. He talked about FATF, which I don't know if you know about. FATF is a international sort of a agreement. It's not a I don't know what it's a combination of a couple of treaties that are aimed at combating terrorism and financial terrorism and finances that fund terrorism. And it's a big issue because Iran is in the blacklist, and because of that, there's banking issues. And then he started, because that's a big issue that the liberals or centrists, they support Iran signing up to FATF. The principalists and conservatives don't. And he talked about it, and he gave details that are just very wrong, very wrong. It seemed that he didn't even know where was Iran's application at this point. So, very unsubstantial debate. The only thing I would say, Hemmati, the only good thing Hemmati may have done was that he did ask I mentioned this in our previous videos on other debates. Please check them out, by the way, that you have these questions picked, and then they ask them from one of the candidates that's also picked all both through a lottery type thing. And Hemmati one time just ignored his question and started asking very specific questions of Raisi, the front runner and the shoo-in for the presidency, about the specific issues like hijab, like blah, like nuclear. Oh, sorry about that. My hand touched. Need to stop moving my hand. But yeah, he did ask questions like that. There was a point where he even put there was a file apparently with the name of major fraudsters in Iran, financial fraudsters. He put it on Raisi's table and he said, we had already submitted this couple of months ago. Why you haven't done anything about it? So again, mudslinging, unsubstantial and odd, because you're like, you guys are all complaining and you guys are all complaining. You're saying things that the opposition outside of Iran is saying and some more. And it's like you live in a fantasy land sometimes. So that was the debate. And then following the debate, we had a couple of, let's say, explosive revelations and a couple of, interesting updates. Let's get to the, I think, less important ones, even though they're later in terms of like timeline. So today, you had Mehr Alizadeh, one of the most reformist candidate, you could argue, who was arguing that he's going to revive the Khatami government from 70s in Iran, 1990s Gregorian calendar. He basically, he pulled out of the race. He hasn't endorsed anybody, but he has said that he will give a speech, give a talk, whatever. Then you had Zakani. So, sorry, this is the picture of Mehr Alizadeh, who's the most reformist candidate. Then you had Zakani, the guy who I mentioned earlier, who was the bad cop or the attack dog of the principalist. And it was very interesting because there was this big fight between him and Hemmati. Hemmati kept saying, you're a cover candidate. You're just here to mudsling, and then you're going to pull out in favor of Raisi. And he kept saying, you're a liar. I'm not a cover for anybody. You are a cover, blah, blah, blah. And it turned out Hemmati was right. So he pulled out in favor of Raisi. And that's Zakani. Interestingly, you also had, I think this was yesterday, 200, these are members of Iranian parliament. The gentleman here in the middle, I don't know if my mouse will be seen with the glasses, the one in the very center, lower center. He's Ghalibaf, he's the Speaker of the Parliament. Iranian Parliament has 290 members, and the 200 members wrote a letter saying that the conservative candidates should drop out in favor of Ebrahim Raisi to avoid to avoid breaking up the votes of the conservative camp. Their letter was aimed at the three remaining conservative candidates except Ebrahim Raisi. So this was very much expected. What was not expected was this. This is Molavi Abdulhamid, which is probably unknown to most people around the world. Molavi Abdulhamid is like the leader, you could say, or the most major figure of Sunni population in Iran. And in a very strange turn of events, because minorities in Iran tend to be supporters of reformists, or some of them don't even participate in elections. But Molavi Abdulhamid came out in support of Ebrahim Raisi. And it seems Ebrahim Raisi did, to be fair, he did campaign there a lot and spend a lot. He has promised, these areas are the most underprivileged areas in Iran, the Sunni areas, especially southeast of Iran, when Iran has borders with Pakistan. That area is suffering from drought, it's suffering from floods, it's suffering from lack of drinking water. It's every problem you can think of. So I'm hoping this may signal that even if a conservative candidate comes, they're going to be very developed a state development minded. There will be a lot of corruption, destruction of environment and all that, but I hope at least maybe Sunni population in Iran, because there has been so much, in my view, unfairness towards the Sunni population in Iran. So even if 5% their lives improves, I mean, it's a very low bar, but you know. So that was very surprising, very explosive. But then you had a couple of far more explosive events happening. First, you had, I don't know if people are familiar with the Green Movement in Iran, which happened after Ahmadinejad's second election. There was these street protests. The leaders of the Green Movement, who were the two other candidates who believed the elections were rigged, they were under house arrest. One of them came out, Mir Hossein Mousavi came out with this vague sentence that says that I stand with people who do not support engineered elections and cruelty, which most people say that it means that he won't vote, but it's not clear. The other leader, Mehdi Karoubi, he said he will vote, and he will vote for Hemmati, which was very odd because every majority of reformists, like it seems like there is going to be such a low turnout that even if you think people should vote, you don't say that just because you will be very badly, like the turnout is not going to prove you right, basically. You're going to lose more credibility. Anyways, so you had Mehdi Karoubi coming out saying that you should vote. That was very odd. Then today, you had probably the most popular politician or reformist politician in Iran, Khatami. First, he thanked Mehralizadeh for pulling out of the race, the reformist candidate, because Mehralizadeh was popular in, especially in Azeri speaking, because he's of Azeri ethnicity, and he could have gotten, like there is a chance he could have, gotten some votes that they may have gone to Hemmati. So he thanked him for that. And Khatami also urged people to participate in this election, which was very odd. This just came out because Ahmadinejad hasn't done that. Ahmadinejad is saying he's not going to vote. A lot of even like conservatives in conservative newspapers are being more harsh to the Guardian's Council than the reformists. So this is, but the reformist argument is that that's their plan. They want people to basically put aside the ballot box forever and give up on it completely, and then they'll be free and it's good. So you had these explosive events, but the most explosive, this one was very just odd, because there was all these debates about why Larijani especially got disqualified, the former speaker of Iranian parliament. And everybody said it was due to security and intelligence services reporting. Then the former head of Iranian Ministry of Intelligence during Ahmadinejad years, if I'm not mistaken, the man you see here, Haydar Moslehi, who's, by the way, has a history of talking a lot of nonsense, and genuinely people think he may have mental issues because he was in the war and all that, so he may have genuine mental problems, famous for exaggerations. He gave an interview online, and in that interview he said that in the last time that Rafsanjani, this is Rafsanjani, one of the founders of Iranian Revolution, one of the most powerful men until probably 10, 20 years ago. He died about 2 years ago. He passed away about 2 years ago. Mostly he said that, yes, we assess the intelligence and the reports on the streets, and we realized that Rafsanjani will get more than 70% of the vote. And I had a meeting with the Guardian's Council, and Moslehi, showed them, they asked me a lot of questions. He said only one of the 12 members, only one of the lawyers of the 12 members, because you have 6 lawyers and 6 religious authorities. So only one of them, he says, raised objections, saying that this is one of the founders of the revolution. You can't just disqualify him. He was president for twice. He was seen as the shadow leader for many years because he was the most powerful man. And he apparently Moslehi says that I said we have for the system has sacrificed bigger men than him. Moslehi came out with these revelations. The reaction was interesting because then a video was
But wait,
released
sorry, I
from
just have a
Rafsan.
question. So these are from
Sure.
like they disqualified him from when? Past elections, you mean?
Yeah,
Is that
this was about this is 4 elections ago, 4 or 5 elections ago.
And they didn't let him
I
run.
don't
So
recall. Yeah, they
yeah.
I don't remember. Maybe it was 2 elections ago. I don't remember. But yeah, they disqualified him from running in the election, according to Moslehi, because they thought he would get 70% of the vote. And then you had all these follow-up leaks. There was a video of Rafsanjani, the guy you see here. He's dead now. There was a video of him from the time he was disqualified. And in that video, he's on a treadmill. It's a very strange video. He's on a treadmill talking, and they ask him, why do you think you were disqualified? And he says, I think it was because the intelligence services had talks with the Guardian Council and said that this is not right for the regime. So this video got leaked. The Guardian Council, a spokesperson, has come out and said that Mr. Moslehi is not a stable man, and he's famous for his exaggerations, and this is not true. And it's true that he had a meeting with him, but I don't want to discuss what the members told him in that meeting. So I would say, even though the story makes sense in a way, that intelligence services probably created a file that prevented Rafsanjani from running, I doubt I think Moslehi was just basically, conservatives didn't put him in their list for the local elections, for local council elections. So I think he's upset and he's trying to exaggerate his importance and his thing, because putting Rafsanjani aside is not a decision that is made by a minister of intelligence. This is a decision made by the highest ranking people in Iran, or the highest ranking person in Iran, supreme leader. Because Rafsanjani, you have to, I mean, I don't know our viewers how much they're familiar with Iranian history, but Rafsanjani, you could argue during the last 40 years of Islamic Republic, 20 years of it, he was the most powerful man, or at least for 30 years of it, he was the top 3 most powerful men in Iran. And
even though he was never supreme leader, of course. And in previous videos, you mentioned that presidents didn't even really have too much power in the 80s.
He did.
So I guess he did.
Okay, no, he did. He was the first president who came out, and they got rid of the prime ministerial thing, and they called him the president of reconstruction, which, by the way, is extremely very exaggerated. He was an extremely corrupt man. His family is corrupt. And by the way, his daughter is right now boycotting the election and going on Clubhouse, giving talks every night. His son and brother are a bit more within the system. They wrote letters to the supreme leader. But no, he was the guy who made Khamenei the supreme leader. Like, there is a video of the meeting where they decide who is going to be the supreme leader, and he's the guy who does that. So this is how powerful he was. Basically, the beginning, like the 10 years of Iranian revolution, or maybe less, 5 years of Iranian revolution, it's Rafsanjani and his party, Hezb Jomhuri Islami, them getting rid of all their rivals. But then, as time evolves, because he decides to focus on economy, there is this story that he even tells the supreme leader, I'm going to focus on economy and I don't care about political progress or political emancipation and all that. And then after that, during Khatami years, from 1990s onwards, he starts getting sidelined. All right. Yeah, and that was the explosive revelation about the Rafsanjani disqualification, which was very, very explosive.
And why did he bring this up now? Just because he's he's not happy with his own situation, and like, being banned from running. No, he
That's
didn't
my
want to run
guess.
for president, right? He wanted to run for other stuff. The
No, he wasn't even
Muslim.
banned from running.
Okay.
He wasn't put in the list of like when you're not put on the list of the principal list,
Yeah.
you're not. First of all, you're not going to get elected. Second of all, it's a signal that you're not one of us anymore. Like because he was always crazy.
I
He
see.
what I recall he said something completely mad once in Iran, and everybody just went like, "What?" Like he's yeah. You can't really so I mean, this is something that even the Guardian Council sort of mentioned, that this is not a personality with much stability. So
I see.
again, I think there is a grain of truth to that. But if I had to guess, there were probably orders prior to, to create a file for Rafsanjani. I don't think this was his initiative, so to speak.
But yeah, I see. Okay, nice, nice. What else? Do we have anything else?
So yeah, and the last update about Iran nuclear
Oh
talks.
yeah.
This is a bit of a like I have to admit that, because I always try to cover the Iranian analyst and the foreign analysts that both talk about the Iranian nuclear talks, and the foreign analysts are far more positive about it. And I don't know why, but you just put more trust in Associated Press and Reuters than Iranian analysts on BBC Persia or Iran International. But they seem to have been right, and there is not going to be a deal before the Iranian elections. Rafael Grossi, the head of IAEA, today said that, we don't have any hope of, I mean, it's 2 days from now. And in Iran, Thursdays and Fridays are the weekend.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be the next government for sure, which is, I mean, I am a big critic of Rouhani government. I didn't have high hopes for him in the beginning. Some people thought he's going to change everything, but I never had high hopes for him. But I do feel somewhat bad for him right now, because I do think after this, we're going to hopefully see some benefits for Iranian people and Iranian economy. And you also have this Iranian vaccine. It's like it's going to basically become available in a month or so. And again, like all the work was done during Rouhani's presidency, but I think somebody else is gonna, get the fruits of his labor.
Yeah.
Although I doubt he put in much labor, so to speak.
Of course. I mean,
but still.
Even Trump oversaw the production of a handful of vaccines himself. So.
No, I mean he was one of the worst government Iran ever had.
Yeah.
Largely, in my view, due to his incompetency.
Okay.
But it does feel unfair that, like, the thing that he put all his credits towards this deal, and I don't think he's gonna. Yeah, and I don't think he's gonna be there for its revival.
Yeah. So there's a good chance that if the deal exactly gets back together, a little boost in the economy, at least the short term, coupled that with Iranian made coronavirus vaccine and everything. Yeah. So the next president could look kind of good the first 6 months or so.
Yeah. Can have a good honey. Look, man,
relatively speaking, of course.
We are talking because in Iran, everybody hates anybody who's in any position of power. Is usually within a 2 months period. We hate him. He's a thief. His families are thieves. Everybody's. But yeah, and it very much depends, because there are all these. I think there is a little bit of a scaremongering about Ray. I know he's a conservative candidate. I know he comes from a region in Iran where they put in some of the harshest laws in terms of, like, social freedoms. But I don't think he's gonna become a president like that. I don't think. I think, like, you had all these articles that it's gonna become a Islamic state now. I doubt it. He has, even in his previous presidency, he met with a Iranian underground rapper, so somebody who was doing something illegal.
Like during, you mean, previous campaigns, like previously when he tried to run for president?
Exactly, his previous run. He had the rapper I'm talking about has tattoos all over. He's been accused of having sex with underage girls that appear in his music videos. So I do think these guys are far more of a politician than religious or anything like that. So I'm in that way, I am a slightly more hopeful than most people, I think, because most analysts, but then again, I was more hopeful about the nuclear talks. So
Yeah. So yeah.
so
So a
don't
little
trust.
so a little recap pretty much with 2 days left. Pretty much two candidates have dropped out. Khatami's come out and urging people to kind of go vote. The parliamentarians, I thought they were urging people to vote. No, they're just asking other conservatives to drop out, right?
To drop out, yes,
To
yes.
drop out
Everybody
even
is
more.
urging people to vote,
Yeah,
but that's not
yeah,
surprising from conservatives.
yeah. And Ahmadinejad is still saying that he's not going to vote and all that. So putting that aside, so what, any final thoughts? I mean, maybe we'll have an opportunity to make another video about any final thoughts, but any final thoughts for the next 2 days before the election?
Well, no, I think it's going to be low turnout. I just hope, in a way, I mean, I don't care, but if Raisi is not president, that would be quite funny because you had like 3 months of analysis that everybody said that he's a
Yeah.
shoo-in inside and outside of Iran, including myself. So that would be quite fun. Like it's
Yeah.
just in terms of just the surprise and just figuring out what the fuck is going to happen. Uh,
Yeah.
but besides that, I have no final thoughts. But I do think the turnout will be very low.
Yeah. So then results might be in Friday night or even Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And that's that.
And
And
usually in
then,
Iran, by the way, by very low, I mean 40%. Usually in Iran, you have 70. That's
okay. Not
so
too
it's not
bad.
low, like
Not
it's the
too bad.
same as an average European turnout.
Yeah.
40.
Not too bad. And when would Rouhani's term officially be over? When will he hand over power?
I am not quite sure, but I think it's a month after. It's a
Yeah.
month after the election, something like that. Is the inauguration? I don't know. I have to check.
So it'll be interesting to see when they resume the nuclear talks, though, whether it's next week or if they
I think it
pause for
will.
a bit.
The talks will continue
Yeah.
nonetheless. I
They
think.
have their hotels and everything booked too, so they don't want to. You can't cancel right now.
Any
But
refund options?
very nice. I mean, in the beginning of this video, we mentioned that we have a different setup right now because we have some computer issues. But in a way,
Yeah.
it was easier for me to kind of follow with this screen share and you having them and showing the
I'm
kind of people while you're talking about it. I don't know. I like the
yeah, I liked it too. To be fair, it felt like class of it. And I must say, I generally prefer Zoom
yeah.
it feels more user friendly. I feel. I don't know.
No, definitely. And I mean, they're discontinuing Skype. I just have that good software for downloading and getting the files. But yeah, but okay.
Sure,
Anyway,
sure.
anything
Yeah.
else, or are we all done with
Oh,
Iran for
and
now?
by the way, if again, I'm gonna make those response videos. I'm not running
Yeah,
away.
no, for
If
sure we're gonna
yeah,
make the
Aaron
response.
Mata and stuff, and it's not even it's like I have a
Yeah,
slight
no.
difference of opinion somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Viewer comments. Okay, I guess that's it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
all we have. Yeah. And by the way, we another thing to keep in mind: uh, like and subscribe for sure.
Yeah.
But there may be during election times there are sometimes internet blackouts in Iran. So yeah, I might not be. Besides our computer issues, there may be. I might not
Yeah.
be. We'll see. We'll see what happens
We
during
might
next
just
week.
start sending out emails for next week, just like a
Yeah.
written newsletter.
I'm gonna use birds as
Okay.
carrier pigeons. You can
By the
read it to our
following week,
audience.
by the following week. But okay, I'm not even sure how we're supposed to end these videos right now, but we're not going to stop the recording, but we're going to end this one. So thank you everybody for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hope this format was okay for now, but yeah, thank you.